wears the feeling? He wears the feeling. He wears the feeling. All day light, all night light, blue light, offense light, defense light, it's four light, outdoor light, it's out light. Let's go. Let's go.
Recently, Ruby Litton, Danny's wife, sent me a message that Danny had some of the old football films, those 16mm films from the days in which he played, and it turns out in some days after his playing days were over. And so I said, Ruby, if you'll send them to me or get them to me, I will see if I can get them converted to digital, so maybe we can do something with them. So I was excited because one of the reels contains some footage from the first victory in our rebuilding program in 1975. Now, I hold every player that played in 1975 in high regard for all kinds of reasons that none of them really were legit in my opinion. We suspended our football program through no fault of ours necessarily, but for the people who made decisions, we suspended the football program at Carrabelle High School after the coach resigned at the end of the season in 1974. And I guess no decision could be made until about a week and a half, 2 weeks before the season started in the fall. And when I say we didn't have a program, I mean no weightlifting, no talking to players about the team, no nothing. And when they made the decision a couple of weeks before the fall practice started, actually before football season started, we were able to have one position that was still not filled, and I was going to the coaching clinic that year. So I met David Galbraith, and he was looking for a job, and we just worked out something, and it worked out because he could fit into the teaching position we had open, and the principal agreed. And so we our coaching staff then was Coach Galbraith and myself, and we started practice. It turns out that and this had to be the Lord involved in this, I believe, but John Cordell was a math teacher, and I met him, and the first time I saw him, I said, "Hey, you look like you might help us." And he said, "What you need?" And he said, I told him what we were looking for was somebody to help us with coaching. It turns out, he had a background in sports and was just what he was looking for. So he was a tremendous influence on laying the foundation for our rebuilding program. And then we needed somebody else to be able to have a feeder program as well as try to have a varsity team that year. So Hubert Chipman, Hubert William as they call him now, he was just Hubert to us back in those days, but he had a year left and his eligibility was out. So I talked with him, and he had grown up in the football program here, was a fine fella, and so he agreed to help us with the team as a student assistant. And primarily, we all worked together, but primarily the junior high and the junior varsity teams were coached primarily by Coach Cordell and Hubert Chipman. And our plan from the beginning was to build a competitive program, and we didn't want to admit it, but we realized that year was going to be tough because we had done no off-season work, and we had a lot of catching up to do. Well, without going on too much further, we started off, in the first game we just got slaughtered, and didn't get anybody hurt so much, but just couldn't play. Didn't know the fundamentals and hadn't practiced enough, and so not being real smart, but I realized we had to do something different, and we got together as coaches, and we went with the single wing which old-timey single wing now, from Notre Dame box days and things like that, but it was just simply fundamental football. Probably the best thing we ever did, because what we decided is that we had to have spring training, and it was fall football season. So we took a couple of weeks where we put in a single wing so we could play offense, and we concentrated on learning the fundamentals of football. And we took our beatings, but when we got through with the single wing in spring training, we were a lot better prepared to play football. And this first game that you will see or have seen is on the in 1975 we played Sneeds, and we played a competitive game with them. The next game was Weewa-Hitchcock, and they were ranked number 1. We played Sneeds. The number 1 team was Weewa-Hitchcock, who was our next opponent. And I don't know if they prepared for the single wing or not, but our young men, ball players, played over their heads and gave it everything they had, and somehow or another we upset them 18-8, and that gave us some confidence that we were on the right track at least. So thank you, Danny, for having this particular film, especially because it is a real film of the first game that we won in our rebuilding program. And then we have another one that Danny had, was of the Liberty County game after we had defeated Sneed 7-6 with our pretty well depleted team because of so many of our athletes who unfortunately were not on the team anymore. But Liberty County was a very competitive and outstanding program, and Coach Ricky McCullough was coaching this year, as I remember. And so we'll see a little bit of that film between the Liberty County Bulldogs and the Carrabelle Green Devils. The rest of the new films are from the 1980 and 1981 season, and so those who played in those days will be able to see yourself probably. Just
Let's go!
So let's go on and let's watch the Weewa-Hitchcock game now, where the Green Devils won their first game in this rebuilding program after being a well-respected program and then going through a period of real big challenges. And now here we are coming back. Go Green Devils.
Bro, good job, man.
Hey, you came to Mike with those guys? Yes, sir.
start of a brand new season.
I hope you're enjoying these Carrabelle High School football memories. The 1976 season was one in which the Green Devils re-established their competitiveness in the area. Although being reportedly the smallest public high school in Florida that played football, the players for Carrabelle High School worked hard and through their efforts and teamwork made their mark and earned the respect of their opponents. This next game is with the Sneads Pirates in Sneads. The year's 1976, and this is Carrabelle High School's third shutout victory of the year and is the second consecutive shutout victory. Now let's go back in time and enjoy the football game.
Bro, good job, man.
Hey, you came to Mike with those guys?
start of a brand new season.
program and participation by the football players. And in 1976 football season, the team was competitive and ready to do battle. The game you're about to watch is of the Quincy Monroe Bobcats and the Carrabelle High School Green Devils. This was the inaugural game on the new football field at Carrabelle High School. 1976 homecoming game with the Freeport Bulldogs. From a page from the 1976 football handbook, the following was written concerning the philosophy and goals of the football program. To develop and teach a total football system which is sound fundamentally, yet simple enough to be mastered by high school athletes with average ability. Our goal is to motivate each individual to perform at his highest possible level as a member of a group. Our goal is to guide each individual athlete toward the full realization and development of his potential. I am convinced that sharpness in fundamentals is the winning edge in athletics. It is not generally systems or plays that win games, but players who execute the basic fundamentals better than the opposition. A strong defense is a must in order to be a consistent winner. Adverse weather and physical conditions can seriously affect a team's offense, yet have practically no effect upon a well-coached defense. A strong defense not only demoralizes the opposition, but also gives a lift to his own offense by securing the ball in favorable field position. Our goals can be achieved only through a program which includes well-planned practices which are carried out with sound teaching methods. Emphasis should be on player participation and not on coach lecturing to a player. Active participation is better than passive reception. However, correct performance is the most important coaching point.
impressive wins in their first two games. The Green Devils were ready to tackle another big challenge. The game we are about to watch was one of the biggest games played in Carrabelle, as it matched two undefeated teams. The Green Devils were undefeated and faced a much bigger school, North Florida Christian from Tallahassee. The North Florida Christian Eagles were also undefeated. The stadium in Carrabelle was filled to capacity with a standing room only crowd. The Green Devils worked hard and were intensive in their preparation, facing this really good team from a bigger school. The Green Devils started the game with a scoring drive that ran several minutes off the clock. Following a good defensive stand, they executed another scoring drive and then held the Eagles scoreless for a 15-0 victory. Following a hard-fought shutout victory over North Florida, the Carrabelle Green Devils were ranked number 9 in the state. Now let's watch the big game. The game film was blurred, but we can still enjoy the memories of this big game. Go Green Devils! Carrabelle Green Devils are undefeated and are heading into a tough game against the Sneads Pirates. Unfortunately, circumstances beyond the control of the team led to the necessity of making adjustments to play with fewer players, several of those fighting to play with various injuries. The list of unbeaten teams in the Big Bend was getting smaller, with only 3 4-0 teams left: Carrabelle, Osceola Christian, and Lincoln High School from Tallahassee. Carrabelle has allowed only 6 points and was relying on its defense to help face the challenge that the team faced with Sneads. The Sneads Pirates came to Carrabelle determined to play good football and to go away with a victory. With a great home crowd and determination, the Green Devils were up to the challenge and were ranked 8th in the state going into the game. The game was a defensive battle, with the first half ending with both teams scoreless. In the second half, the Pirates took a 6-point lead after intercepting a screen pass and returning it for the score. The Green Devils stopped the extra point. The following kickoff by Sneads was fielded just in front of the goal line and returned the entire distance of the field, 100 yards, for a tying score. The Green Devils kicked the extra point successfully and took a 7-6 lead. They held that lead until the game ended. The Green Devils remained undefeated, and when the state rankings were published, the Carrabelle Green Devils were number 6. to the game, some considered relatively evenly matched, the Green Devils dominated the Sharks with a 46-0 victory that was cherished by the team, school, and the community. Over the years, many athletes from Carrabelle have been featured in local newspapers and in athletic conferences and by the State Athletic Association. Here are only a few examples of players that were highlighted for their accomplishments. The game featured for the season of 1978 is the game in Carrabelle against the Greenville High School. I trust you will enjoy watching this victory by the Green Devils and that you've enjoyed the memories of the times reflected in this video series. Thank you for the memories.